for your life, 'cause we won't be defeated. We refuse. I'm LaCresha Berry, aka better known as Berry. The thing that makes me smile the most is singing and finding stories inside of songs and bringing them out. I know many times when I'm singing, I black out and I go to a place where nobody else can come with me. And that's where I kind of reach inside and find all the things that I had buried inside of my body, and I let it come all the way out when I sing. So I think singing is what makes me smile.
Okay.
Even if the world around you tells you that you should be a certain way and that you should meet the societal standard, always challenge the status quo. And you can challenge the status quo literally by asking questions. Be skeptical of what people are telling you, because oftentimes it's only by what they believe, not by what they actually know. So for me, just be skeptical. Ask questions, ask a lot of questions, and discover things on your own without, or in addition to people giving you advice. Make sure that you're listening to your soul and your inner voice first. I've been a teacher since 2005, so this is my 12th, going on my 13th year teaching. In the fall, it'll be my 13th year teaching. I started teaching on a whim. I didn't think it was my calling. I thought I was supposed to be a full-time entertainer, and by entertainer I meant singing for money. I didn't know that teaching was a part of my art as well. So I taught for 10 years, and I resigned in 2014 as a full-time teacher. I teach part-time now. But in my tenure as a full-time middle school teacher in Harlem, uptown, East Harlem, West Harlem, I realized there was a trend in how my students, who are often black and brown, were treated. And I was creating stories for them anyway. I just wanted to figure out a historical context, because I think my skill is bringing historical narratives to life, since I did that in Brown Girl Bluegrass. So I was like, how can I make history come alive so that my students will want to listen? And the story of Harriet Tubman is super intriguing. So I decided that maybe I should take the idea of Harriet Tubman as a young person and meld the two ideas together. Then when I started looking at the statistics from Push Out by Monique W. Morris and all these other small journals and articles around the treatment of black girls, or rather the mistreatment of black girls in schools, I figured that Harriet Tubman probably would be one of those girls that we look over, that we misdiagnose, and that we mistreat. So I wanted to flip it in a way that made sense to my students, and also still teaching them about the legacy and the heroic achievements of Harriet Tubman. Yeah, okay, so on social media, I'm all over the place. You can find me. It's probably too easy to find me, but I'm on Facebook as Berry, B-E-R-R-Y. Instagram, Berry, B-E-R-R-Y-A-N-D, and Co, C-O. That's my OG page. I've had that for like a long time. Berry and Co. And if you want to follow the actual One Woman Show, Air Tubman, A-I-R-T-U-B-M-A-N, on Twitter, Facebook, and Instagram. Yeah, so you can also find all of my work that I've done so far, even my style page, on Berry and Company NYC.com. So I have everything on my website. LaCresha Berry on YouTube, LaCresha Berry. I focus on performances, life, veganism, cruelty-free products, teaching. So my vlog is on YouTube. I vlog every Sunday, Tuesday, and Thursday. Mm-hmm. I do a Style Sunday, I do a Talented Tuesday, and I do a DIY Thursday. And what I basically do is I try to highlight things that you can do right within your home that are vegan and cruelty-free, and looking fly and beat on a budget.
Okay.
First of all, body roll. Thank you. And second, what I would say is embrace all of your stages.
Thank you.
For me, I've been thinner, I've been heavier, I've been muscular, I've been less muscular, I've been softer, I've been harder. And what I've failed to do in retrospect is appreciate myself in all of those stages, and being able to recognize the value in every body shape and every curve, dimple, cottage cheese, muscle. I just learned to appreciate it more. And so now I'm kind of in the middle where I'm working out and I'm, doing that, but I'm not as muscular as I was 5 years ago, or I'm not as thin as I was 5 years ago. And I'm also embracing that. Okay. I'm also embracing just making sure my body moves and making sure I put the right things in my body so I can continue to do the work that I'm doing. I definitely want to reach the community, so definitely I would love to go to communities of brown and black people, of course, and centering myself around education, because I feel like education is my calling. So this one-woman show in itself is an educational piece, so therefore it just automatically should live in an educational space, as well as community theaters, as well as centers, as well as museums, colleges, and theaters. But theaters are like my last resort. I would love to do it in theaters. I have no problem with doing it in theaters. I just feel like my work belongs with the people. Yeah, so we've done it a couple of times. Oftentimes when you do talkbacks, people don't know how to put their thoughts into one piece, and it ends up being longer than it should, or there needs to be some type of format or discussion protocol, because oftentimes people end up giving you just feedback as opposed to just telling you how you feel, telling me how they feel about the piece and what stood out to them. What they'll say is that it's awesome, it's amazing, but they won't be specific on what made it amazing or what made it awesome. So to me, if it's not conducive, then I don't want to continually do it just because it's a thing to do. But I've done it before and I want to continue to do it. I just would have to make some format around it so it can be conducive for everybody that is involved. I would say, first of all, like, my inner voice is supportive of me. But I would also say to my mother and my friend.
And your mother's name?
My mother, LaCresha Berry. She's been a big support system for me and, pushed me along the way. And also to my good friend Dewey Gerard, who's a writer. He is a writer, filmmaker, producer in his own right, actor. And he's inspired me, and he's given me a lot of feedback. So a lot of the character work that you've seen, he helped me push through a lot of those characters and their intentions. And so he's been a huge support system. And my music producer, John Robinson, he's a producer, rapper, educator. He helped me with, create the music, and he believed in me that you should rap. You should spit your poetry. You should rap. Rap, LaCresha. And so most people know me as a singer, and being able to rap and sing and move and spit poetry and have dialogue and monologue in my show just creates more of a conversation. I think going and seeing plays, reading books, being historically being historically aware has helped me to be motivated, because I've seen people before me do it, so that inspired me and motivated me to do the work I'm doing now. And so reading Harriet Tubman's story, a lot of myself aligns with her. At 47 years old, she adopted a daughter. At 47, she was married to a man who was 25 years old. At 54, she adopted a daughter, and she died at 93 years old. So a lot of the things that happened to her that we consider to be womanly happened later in life, and not in her 20s and 30s and 40s like they tell us it should happen. So a lot of those things I learned when I went to the Harriet Tubman Visitor Center in Cambridge, Maryland. Philadelphia to escape, and then, because Philadelphia was a Quaker city, and they didn't believe in slavery in that town, so it was a free state. But she went back and forth between the North and the South to make sure that her family members and the ones that she loved were free. But yeah, she was my motivation, as well as all the other people that I research. Well, I teach. So my community service, my investment is that I travel and I perform in different spaces in the world, and I bring that back and place it inside of classrooms, place it inside of workshops, place it inside of assemblies. So I have an assembly and a curriculum attached to my show Tubman, and I give back. And the kids can also create their own work out of what I've done too. So that's my investment. Okay. And having the conversation around misdiagnosis and mistreatment and push-up. Love to me is being authentic, and not changing yourself to be accepted, but to authentically love every piece of your being without apology. To me, loving means to have connection with your inner self and being authentic with your inner self and let it exude out and let it glow within. And then you have to love yourself first, of course. And then for those that want to love you as well, they can see that without having to change you one bit. I graduated from high school at Tates Creek High School in '97.
Say that again because I don't understand that.
Tates Creek High School in 1997 in Lexington.
Where? Okay, got it.
In Lexington, Kentucky. I graduated from the University of Kentucky in 2003 with a BA in theater. I came to New York to go to NYU for graduate school, and I have a year of costume design for stage and film at the Tisch School for the Arts in NYU. I didn't last long because, you know, I'm a free spirit, so I can't just do one thing. I just can't. I can't just be a costume designer. And also, too, teaching. Teaching has been my education as well. I learned from my students and learned what to do and what not to do based on just spending hours and hours and hours and hours, literally probably thousands of hours in Barnes & Noble reading educational materials and studying and studying and studying and then trying it out on my students. There's one book that I highly recommend to all educators out there if you want to educate yourself on being a highly qualified teacher. Teaching with Love and Logic by Jim Fay. And one other book that I read that was called The Pedagogy of Confidence. I'm not sure who the author is, but you can probably insert the author. I think it's Yvonne Jackson. Pedagogy of Confidence and Teaching with Love and Logic has really educated me into being the reasonable and fair teacher that I am today, and respectful and treating my students like humans. That's really educated me. And also just, you know, taking risk and jumping. So that's also educated me as well. So next time I come to San Diego, I know what to do. Networking with people, they've taught me as well. I know what to do. So those are the informal education. And then the formal education, of course, is where I got my degrees and all that. So Maya Angelou, if you don't like something, change it. If you can't change it, change the way you look at it. Thanks for smiling. Talked less black, you'd be taken more seriously. And I say, try living in this body and get back to me.
Yeah.
Black women and girls must often navigate through a landscape that reinforces multidimensional stereotypes and debilitating narratives that negatively impact how Black femininity is understood. Implicit racial and gender biases may also inform how we read the behaviors and actions of Black girls and women, and how all of this comes together to guide whether Black girls are safe in their communities, and whether they have access to quality employment, food, housing, and education.
My brothers and I, we was trying to run away from Harlem to DC, right? We were just tired of the prisons, you know, tired of abuse from foster care home to foster care home. So we decided that we was gonna leave in the middle of the night, because you know Harlem is full of nightlife and noise or whatever. So we figured that'd be the best time to go. But then I had this idea, right, that we was gonna act like we was gonna go to school, and then we was just gonna keep going off the last stop and go all the way to DC. I didn't know how we was gonna do it, but I figured it was our time to run away. This is it. But my brothers, they always type nervous when it came to me. She came to my class the first day with her head down. I think she's been struggling for a little bit, but nobody's really been able to do anything about it. But I think I got the key. I'm gonna keep this behavior log, right? And I'm gonna track her behavior, her actions with others, and her academic work. And I think this is gonna be the key to keeping her in school where she belongs. And I'm just hoping solve everything.
In 2013, an 8-year-old girl in Illinois was arrested for acting out, and a 16-year-old girl in Alabama who suffers from diabetes, asthma, and sleep apnea was hit with a book by her teacher after she fell asleep in class.
So at my school, we have this student support team where they study a student for 6 weeks to see whether or not they need an IEP. An IEP is an individualized education plan where a classroom teacher and a special education teacher come together to devise a plan of skills and strategies that will help a struggling student learn better in class. And I know Araminta needs one. And listen, I'm no expert. I don't have a degree in special education. I have a degree in arts administration. I'm the one in the school that does the cultural assemblies and the celebrations and, you know, the heritage months. That's my job. But all I know is that if Araminta doesn't have this IEP, she's going to get expelled. She's already 3 suspensions in, and the next suspension is an expulsion. And I don't know what it is about Araminta, but who's going to help her if I don't? Who's going to help this girl if I don't help her? Who?
In New York and Boston, Black boys and girls were subject to larger achievement gaps and harsher forms of discipline than their white counterparts. In some measures, the racial disparity between girls is greater than boys.
My share of bad apples, and like, she's definitely in the bunch with them. I mean, have you read her file? It says she doesn't perform well on tests. She's always asleep in class, and she doesn't read on grade level. I mean, they try to blame us and the teachers and the system, but don't blame me for the environment that she lives in and the lifestyle that she lives. I mean, I don't see what the problem is, Miss Berry. Some students want it, and others, like her, don't. I mean, I don't think there's anything wrong with her. She just needs to focus and stop falling asleep in class. I mean, you can try to help her, Miss Berry, but it would be nearly impossible. So, even though I don't like Miss Stapleton, the school special education coordinator, I had to respect her while we were in the school. But once we leave this building, who knows? She might have to catch these hands. However, after talking to Miss Stapleton, and y'all, she wore me out. I mean, she really, really wore me out. After talking to her, I realized I needed to talk to other teachers to get fresher perspectives and point of views on Araminta's behavior. Because, you know, I think Miss Stapleton is a little bit, you know, biased. And I don't know what it is about Araminta. I mean, I've seen my share of crazies in the past 10 years, and I'm not just talking about the students, if you know what I mean. So, I don't know what it is, but there's something special about that girl. And I just want her freedom to a good education. I just want her freedom over everything.
Young Harriet's life was full of hardship. When she was enslaved, she was accused of helping a slave escape. Even though she denied it, the slave's owner didn't believe her. He became so angry that he threw a metal weight, some say a brick, against her head. She was knocked unconscious. Since that traumatic experience, she suffered dizzy spells, migraines, and even reported she saw visions from God.
Don't you think you're like exaggerating a little bit, Miss Berry? Like, don't you think you're like overreacting like just a tad? I mean, I respect you. I really respect you, Miss Berry, but Araminta is very disrespectful to me. I mean, where I'm from, I'm just not used to kids like this in this urban environment. Where I'm from, in Connecticut, we walked the beaches and we rode horses and we made trips to the vineyard. It was so beautiful. And you know, I did my student teaching residency there, and the kids were, you know, different. And I just want to do my part. I just want to serve the inner city with my community service. I want to do the right thing with the children in Harlem, you know? And she does not listen to me, so I had to do something. I had to do something, Miss Berry. I can't control her like you do. She loves you. Loves you. She hates me. She hates me. And I just can't control her like you. I just can't. Oh, goodness, Bear. Smelling real good, too. If I wasn't wiped up already, I would have married you a long time ago. I don't mean nothing by it, Miss Berry. I don't mean nothing by it. Come on in and have a seat. All right. You can stand. You ain't got to be so serious all the time. Who are we here to talk about? Araminta. Araminta. See, that's the problem. All these black mamas naming these kids these crazy names. Kids out here thinking they grown. Crazy names, crazy actions. All she had to do was comply. All she had to do was follow the rules. These young girls get you caught up, thinking they grown out here. This one time, I was walking down 100. Come on, Miss Berry, don't go nowhere, Miss Berry. There's a point to the story, Miss Berry. Look, listen, Miss Berry, listen. Right? So I was walking down 125th Street, right? And I saw this fine, gorgeous little thing. I mean, you know, before I was married and all. I saw this fine, gorgeous little thing, and before I could roll up on her, she turned around. And you know who she was? She was one of my former elementary school students who's now in high school. Why'd she walk out the house looking like that, huh? Why'd she walk out the house looking like she wanted to get pregnant? These young girls get you caught up. And that's what's gonna happen to Araminta. Before, well, if she finishes high school. Now, what did you want to talk to me about?
Black girls are more likely to be suspended for challenging ideas on how girls should behave, present, and express themselves. In Ohio in 2012 to 2013, Black girls received 16.3 out-of-school suspensions for disobedience or disruption, a subjective and arbitrary category, per 100 Black girls enrolled, while white girls only received 1.5 out-of-school suspensions for disobedience or disruption per 100 white girls enrolled.
We run for your freedom. We run for your life. We run 'cause we won't be defeated. We run. We refuse. We run for your life. We run 'cause we won't be defeated. We refuse to compromise. Yeah. Run for your freedom. Run for your life. 'Cause you won't be defeated. We refuse to compromise. Run for your freedom. Run for your life. Run 'cause you won't be defeated. We refuse to compromise. Being where I'm from gets me in a lot of trouble. Lacker full of issue teachers stuck in a bubble. IEP all day 'cause they can't control me. Special education 'cause they don't understand me. Talking percentages, deficits, weakness, second guess, but I'm blessed. I'm a thoroughbred breeder. Being in these meetings can be so unnerving. Quantifying brilliance in communities underserved. See, my voice don't matter. PDs, I jibber jabber, jibber jabber. Laced with microaggressive slander, knuckle strong with ancestral ladder. Fight so long, 100, a century. You might not see her, but you will see me. Invisibility like Ralph Ellison. Overqualified bodies got them questioning. Every move I make, every word I speak, this is damn near slavery. There will be no yes ma'ams or yes sirs. Classroom compliance, obedience a blur. No Shakespeare in the ghetto. 3rd or 4th grade reading level. Planting hope in the ghetto. Broken windows education. Suspended for nothing. Couple. 'Cause they might have looked at her funny. Talking quite crazy. Missing 5 days on purpose. Education hazy. Resilience a superpower. Common core, cancer shower. In this historical parade, but today will be the day. Elemental will blow them away. No guns needed. Intelligence to bullets. Meditating on that trigger before I pull it. I just need her to see this. Be this. All in my vision. God the architect, superpower, my admission. That's why we